Your death won't come easily.
Hello, Sean of the Lore Hunter here, and this is the second video in my Sekiro So Far series, where I discuss everything we have learned about the upcoming game, Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. Previously, I covered gameplay and mechanics. In this video, I am discussing all of the consumable items and prosthetic tools revealed since E3 2018 in June and the Tokyo Game Show in September. Let's get started by discussing items. Items are used in Sekiro by pressing up on the D-pad, and you can cycle through items by pressing left or right on the D-pad. This first item I'm going to talk about is the main item that you're likely to use, the Healing Gourd, the Sekiro equivalent of the Estus Flask in Dark Souls. The Healing Gourd replenishes health when used, and has a fixed number of charges. Players had 5 charges in the demo, with each charge healing roughly half of the shinobi's health. Healing Gourd charges are stored when a player rests at a sculptor's idol. There is no information yet regarding the ability to increase the number of charges or the health restored by the Healing Gourd. The next item is the Fistful of Ash. Its description reads, "Ash gripped into a hardened clump. Throw it at an enemy to temporarily distract them. In Ashina, the snow falls thick, and thus the hearth runs thick with ash." The Fistful of Ash is thrown at an enemy and creates a small cloud of smoke that breaks the enemy's line of sight and leaves them vulnerable to attack or for the shinobi to sneak away. Moving on, we have Protection Sugar. Sugar candy that increases defense, a Buddhist candy prepared by the nuns of the Inner Sanctum. Bite down and perform the Kongur Rikishi stance to receive its blessing. First of all, I am very excited by the nuns of the Inner Sanctum bit. From never fails to come up with evocative names. Secondly, I did a quick search on what Kongur Rikishi means, and I discovered that Kongur Rikishi are a pair of guardians that guard Buddha and stand at the entrance of many Buddhist temples in fighting wrestler-like poses. So, it seems that the Kongur Rikishi stance is taking a stance similar to that of one of the Guardian statues, granting you protection similar to how the Guardians protect the Buddha. When consumed in-game, it reduces damage taken for a time. Next, we have the Divine Confetti. Confetti that holds a blessing to expel darkness, allows attacks to hit ghost-type enemies. This miraculous confetti bestows favor on those upon which it falls. In the Gamescom demo, one of the sections was an encounter with a headless ghost. In addition to being invulnerable to the shinobi's attacks, the headless ghost was also enshrouded in a dark mist that would render the player unable to dash or run. So it seems that this item is meant to make the ghost vulnerable and to eliminate the black mist. Essentially, this item is made so that you can actually fight ghost-type enemies, and not just get your spine torn out. Another mysterious part of the demo was the molar tooth item. It is unseen in the gameplay footage from Gamescom, as it is found after defeating the aforementioned headless ghost enemy. The molar tooth is basically a limited-use dark sign or hunter's mark. Consuming it kills you as if you had been killed by an enemy, prompting you to die or resurrect. The use case for this item is unclear, as there doesn't seem to be a good reason why you'd choose to die using this item versus simply dying to an enemy. And it is this limited use, consumable nature versus the unlimited uses of the dark sign that make this item even more interesting and mysterious. In this thread on Reddit, Vaati speculates that it might be used in certain stealth situations, or perhaps even to trigger a cutscene. At this point it's conjecture, and the molar tooth remains a mystery. Finally, we have the White Spirit Emblem, a white paper doll required for using prosthetic tools. White Spirit Emblems harbor the souls of the dead. Only a shinobi could find use for such a thing. I don't know about you, but I get the impression that the author of this item description is casting a little shade toward the shinobi here. Only a shinobi could find use for such an item. To that I say, until we find an alternative energy source for a prosthetic arm, we have no choice but to harvest some soul fuel. But let's put aside the increasing implications that our shinobi is involved in a Faustian bargain, and talk about how the White Spirit Emblems work in the game. This consumable is not added to our inventory of items available for access on the D-pad, but instead functions as a finite currency that is spent in order to use prosthetic tools. In the demo, the player could have a maximum of 15 emblems, with extra emblems going into a hidden storage that replenishes emblems to the max when resting at a sculptor's idol. My hope is that this finite consumable is meant to reduce prosthetic tool spam and encourage tactical use of your tools, but never impedes progression. My fear is that I'll find myself stuck on a boss and I'll burn through my store of emblems and find myself grinding. We shall see. For now, onto prosthetic tools. Prosthetic tools are the lovely gadgets that the shinobi can pull out of his soul-consuming magic prosthetic utility arm. Your main prosthetic tool, the grappling hook, is activated by pressing left trigger. All of the other prosthetic tools are used by pressing right trigger. You can cycle through these tools by pressing Y or triangle. It has been confirmed that we will gain a number of prosthetic tools over the course of the game, and that it will be possible to upgrade these tools. It has not been explained if there is a limit to how many tools we can have equipped, or how prosthetic tool progression will work. The demo featured 4 prosthetic tools: the grappling hook, the shuriken, the loaded axe, and the flame fens. 3 more tools have been teased in the E3 and TGS trailers: the steel umbrella, the firecracker, and the spear. Let's start with the grappling hook. The grappling hook is always a click of the left trigger away. It lets you grapple to nodes placed on ledges, roofs, tree branches, and other objects throughout the world, opening up both your vertical and horizontal traversal options. As you approach a node, it appears as a gray, unfilled grapple icon on the screen, filling white as you get closer, and then turning green when the node becomes available to grapple to. A similar icon will also appear situationally on some enemies, giving you a temporary grapple node that you can use to fling yourself toward the enemy. In the demo, a node appeared on the Chained Ogre miniboss after slam and grab attacks with longer recovery times, granting you the opportunity to close the distance and capitalize on the ogre while he was vulnerable. Having specific nodes that are clearly defined present grappling as traversal decision-making. The nodes are placed in such a manner that they will work with the overall level design, presenting multiple intertwined pathways through the area for the player to choose. They also work with the design of individual encounters, tactically placed to give players the option to approach encounters from multiple angles and adjust their battlefield position on the fly. In SunlightBlade Sekiro demo footage, he just barely manages to escape getting pummeled by the Chained Ogre by a last-moment grapple. It's a wonderful moment of action, and presents nicely how dynamic the grapple system can make combat in Sekiro. Moving on to prosthetic tools activated by the right trigger, let's talk about the shuriken tool. The shuriken prosthetic tool costs 1 white spirit emblem per use, and launches a shuriken at the enemy. Multiple uses of the shuriken tool can be done in quick succession, and can be thrown in mid-air. Shurikens deal moderate health damage and minor posture damage, and can interrupt attacks. Pressing right bumper to attack after throwing a shuriken will combo into a quick, dashing attack. The main strength of the shuriken is how quick it is. It can be used quickly, and its combo attack is very effective at interrupting an attack, closing the gap, and getting in a quick hit while they recover. Shurikens are great, but what about when you're going against an enemy with a shield? Sounds like a job for the Loaded Axe. The Loaded Axe tool costs 2 white spirit emblems per use, and pops an axe out of the shinobi's prosthetic arm and into an enemy's face. The Loaded Axe will shred an enemy's shield, and does a large amount of posture damage. The shinobi's Loaded Axe attack animation appears to have hyper armor, meaning that the Loaded Axe's attack will not be interrupted if the shinobi is hit by most enemy attacks. The Loaded Axe has a different mid-air attack animation that is quicker than its standard attack. The Loaded Axe apparently has a strong follow-up attack if you use the Loaded Axe tool again. The Loaded Axe is all about busting through and doing damage, breaking enemy shields, and getting that hit in even if you get hit in the process. And now the last, and arguably hottest prosthetic tool shown off in the demo, the Flame Vent. The Flame Vent tool costs 2 spirit emblems per use, and shoots a burst of flame out of your prosthetic arm. This burst of flame deals mild health damage to the enemy, and builds up a hidden meter that will trigger an on-fire status effect if it fills, represented by an orange kanji for fire. This status causes the enemy to burst into flames and become defenseless temporarily as they flail around. This tool can also be used mid-air, but doesn't do anything appreciably different. Following up the Flame Vent tool with an attack will set your katana on fire for a short period of time. This will increase how much health damage you deal, and builds up the on-fire status effect meter with each attack that you land. Now that we've talked about prosthetic tools in the demo, it's time to talk about the tools we've only seen released in the E3 and TGS trailers. These will be briefly covered, as we do not have any additional information about how these tools function or what they do beyond what is shown in the trailers. First, we have the Steel Umbrella, which fans out from the prosthetic arm and appears to block an attack. Then, there is the Firecracker, shooting out a spray of sparks and appearing to disorient the oncoming cavalry. Lastly, we have the Spear, which in the TGS trailer skewers Clawboy and draws him back toward the shinobi, where the player appears to combo the spear attack with a special attack from his katana. In his TGS trailer video, Vaati states that this attack looks like Iedo, a Japanese martial art in which you unsheath your sword in the same motion as performing a controlled sword swing. Those are the items and prosthetic tools we have learned about in Sekiro So Far. Stay tuned for the next episode, in which I will cover all of the enemies and bosses revealed to date. Thank you for watching.